like to start with Moses Song, senior economist with the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency in its office here in Los Angeles, or KOTRA. And KOTRA, a Korean government agency, promotes investment and trade opportunities of Korea with a global network of 124 offices in 84 countries. Since Mr. Song joined KOTRA in 2009, he successfully initiated and executed key research projects that were critical to Korea's overall economic growth and key industry development. Moses describes his agency as the Korean equivalent of the United States Department of Commerce, insofar that they facilitate and promote Korean exports and foreign direct investment into Korea. Moses, as you know, of course, the foreign trade agreement between Korea and the United States was implemented in 2012. How did the agreement affect import tariffs of U.S. food products going to Korea? Have all import tariffs for U.S. foods been eliminated? And that's my first question for you.
According to CIA World Factbook, Korea is the world's 13th largest economy in 2013 with the GDP of $1.66 trillion. And its per capita GDP is about $33,200 on a purchasing power parity, PPP. Despite the global economic crisis that happened back in 2008, 2009, the Korean economy has maintained its relatively stable economic growth. According to IMF, Korea's economic growth for 2013 is 13%, and it is expected to grow to 3.7% this year. South Korea is about the size of the state of Indiana, and it has 51 million people, so it's highly dense society with a lot of population clustered in Seoul metropolitan area. So I'm sure you've been there, so it is pretty crowded in Seoul. And 70% of Korea's land is not suitable for commercial farming, and only self-sustaining crop is rice. And that means Korea has to import a lot of agriculture and food products from all over the world. And according to our research back in 2013, Korea's food sufficient level is about 24%. So it creates a lot of opportunities for U.S. exporters. As a matter of fact, Korea is the 5th largest export market for U.S. agricultural products. And like it was mentioned, U.S. is the leading supplier for agricultural products, and it also about over 20% of the market share. After the implementation of Course FTA that happened in March 2012, about 2/3 of U.S. agricultural export to Korea became duty-free immediately. And tariffs on most agricultural products, most other agricultural products, will be phased out within 10 years, with few exceptions such as beef, and because rice is a very important staple crop in Korea, it is omitted. So, a lot of products are being phased out. Avocado, for example, it became duty-free after 2 years of the implementation, and then we see processed food such as beer and the ice cream that will be phased out within 5 years. And bread will be 10 years, and like I said, it will be like 15 years. There are a lot of benefits that's coming out of course FTA.
Thanks, Moses. Just a follow-up question. What impact in terms of dollar volumes has the reduction of tariffs thus far had in the past, 2.5 years on U.S. food exports to Korea, and which specific food items do you think have benefited the most from the FTA?
Upon the implementation of cross-FTA, U.S. agricultural products, what I mean by here is agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting involved, started getting very popular in Korea because of the price reduction. For this category, according to our research, Korea's import volume from U.S. was $5.7 billion in 2013. Between 2011 and 2013, we saw 33.7% increase of U.S. export to Korea in this category. Furthermore, from January to October this year, the export volume is $6.6 billion, and compared to the same period last year, it went up by almost 38%. One of the best examples that I can give you is U.S. almonds. Overall, between 2011 and 2013, U.S. almond export went up by 105%. Statistically, in 2013 compared to the year before, U.S. almond exports to Korea increased by 24.7%. Actually, U.S. grown almonds, they almost hold 100% of the market share in Korea. What about wine? Between 2013 and between 2011 and 2013, U.S. wine export to Korea went up by 93.5%. That's a lot of increase. And in terms of red wine, in 2013 compared to the year before, U.S. red wine increased by 42.7%. And although the volume, California's red wine accounts, the volume is not too large, California red wine accounts for more than 30% of the Korea's entire red wine import market. And though fresh orange decreased by about 11% last year due to increased market competition between like distributors and severe drought in the U.S., it still holds almost 100% of the orange imports market in Korea. And other items would be like fresh cheese, including mozzarella and cream cheese. They went up by 332% between 2011 and 2013. And frozen beef with bone in it, during the same period, it went up by almost 25%. So, you know, with this cross-FTA in effect, over time, we'll see more benefits because, you know, other tariffs on other items will be phased out.
Moses, thank you. I'd like to move, we've had the pleasure already of meeting the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Asia for the Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration, Holly Vineyard. And Holly, you in your presentation this morning, and Moses just now, talked extensively about the foreign trade agreement with Korea, of course. That's pretty natural that we do that. In light of that, the Trade Minister of Korea is coming to Washington later this month. Who do you think he's going to be meeting with, and what do you hope comes out of his meetings?
Thank you, Greg, for that question. So, Moji Minister Yoon will travel to Washington on December 15th, and we anticipate that that morning you'll see Ambassador Mike Furman at USTR to talk about implementation of the course. That after that meeting, the meeting that I think is going to be more exciting for my personal purposes, is he'll come see Secretary Pritzker to be able to talk about how we follow on on the successful implementation of the course, but also how we follow on from her recent successful trade mission to Korea. And there's a lot there in that. What Secretary Pritzker wants us to do is to strengthen the narrative on chorus. There's been a lot of news in the press that has focused on the negative aspects of the agreement, but hasn't really factored in that it has been a success, both trade and investment, trade meaning both manufactured goods and services, that we are doing better now at implementing, which was at the time and still is the gold standard trade agreement that the U.S. has signed with any country. It's a tough agreement to implement, but our friends in Korea are working with us. What we need to continue doing is to work more quickly to resolve problems. But for instance, on orange juice, the Korean government worked with us and our customs agencies in establishing how we look at rules of origin so that U.S. orange juice is now getting into Korea. We've had success on organics and getting organic products into the market there. And if any of you are interested in organics, it's an interesting area right now because Korea's free trade agreement with Europe hasn't been fully implemented on organics. So we have a special moment here where we have a real competitive advantage in selling organic products in Korea. So I would, if any of you are in that space, I would say take a serious look at that. So she'll be taking a look at, how do we build on that successful implementation, of course, how do we reset the narrative, how do we strengthen the narrative, which involves both, the continued, quicker implementation and resolution of problems that affect U.S. companies, but also what do we do to embrace President Park's idea about the creative economy? How can we take U.S. innovative companies, have them match up with Korean creative companies, and really do more to build on what really should be the foundation of having this agreement so that we take our economic partnership to new levels. How do we do more to integrate small companies into global supply chains? That's an issue that's fascinating for us in the APEC, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Talks process. In the U.S., for the next 2 years, we'll be chairing the small and medium-sized working group under APEC. We think Korea is a natural partner to work with us on this. We've seen through the free trade agreement more small companies from both countries become more interested in each other's markets. And how do we do more to really help integrate them into global supply chains? While I was in Seoul recently, I had a chance to go to Costco, which is like the most profitable store anywhere in the world is in Seoul. And you realize this immediately that this is true because the crowds there are amazing. You go there, you see the U.S. products, you see the blueberries from Maine, you see our organics on the shelves. But something else you see there that was fascinating to me is you see a small Korean company that makes seaweed that has gotten the Costco supply chain and is now selling globally through Costco. So it's no longer a small company, I think, but you really see how the benefits of this agreement can help small companies grow. And this is something we really have to see go to the next levels. So that's what I'm hoping will come out of the ministers' meetings in Washington.
Okay, thank you very much, Holly. Seth is president and CEO of American Trading International, or ATI. ATI exports USA food and beverages to over 80 countries worldwide and has been doing so for almost 20 years. Seth, you look too young for that, 20 years. But anyway.
I am from Southern California.
Okay. ATI exhibits at all major overseas food and beverage trade shows, international shows. And the company is consistently one of the top recipients of USDA funds, has been an Exim Bank policyholder for more than 10 years, and is the recipient of many export awards and accolades, including SBA's Exporter of the Year and the President's E Award for Exports. With shipping contracts directly with more than 15 shipping lines and more than 20 languages spoken in their Los Angeles-based office, the company takes pride in remaining 100% export. Seth, I have a few questions for you. The first is, tell us about what foods and beverages you're exporting to Korea. And in that context, I'd like to ask you, what distribution channels do you use to get your food items there?
Sure, thank you for the introduction. One point of clarification I'll make, because I don't want to get in trouble. We don't receive USDA funds, or we're one of the top recipients of the USDA MAP program through proper channels, but we're not directly funded by USDA. I wanted to make sure we say that. Over the years, we've exported everything from condiments and beverages to snacks and meat products and confectionery items to Korea. I'll give you more specifics. We've sold everything from name brand soft drinks to hot sauce to cheese sauce, chocolate-covered pretzels, jalapeno slices, peanut butter, pasta sauces, mustard, lemon juice, lemonade, gummy bears, even alcoholic beverages. So we've always been very flexible when it comes to the Korean market. Korea was one of our first markets. We started in Korea with something very unexpected, and you'll often hear me say to expect the unexpected when it comes to international trade and opportunities, but our very first export to Korea was hot dogs. And for months we were selling hot dogs to Korea, and I had no idea why no one wanted the buns from us. And it wasn't until I got on a plane, went to Korea, and said, "Where are the buns?" that I noticed that they weren't eating them like we would eat hot dogs. They were chopping them up and putting them in something, and my Korean's not that good, but I believe it was called purejjigae, which is a Korean stew. For months I was racking my brain why I didn't want buns. Well, there's a very good reason. So expect the unexpected when it comes to international trade, but Korea is a wonderful market to do business with, and there are some excellent opportunities, and over the years we've dealt with everyone from small mom and pop style importers to very, very large multinational companies like CJ Foods. We've dealt directly with both Lotte and Emart, who are the two largest retailers in the market. But there's incredible opportunities, and unlike some other markets in Asia, Koreans are very entrepreneurial themselves, just like Americans, and it is an easy place. I heard that earlier. It is an easier place. I think exporting U.S. foods and beverages is not an easy thing to begin with. We'd be doing more of it as a country, but Korea is one of the more receptive, open markets to U.S. products.
Okay, thanks. Exporting food can be complicated in most countries, or to most countries, because of the regulations surrounding food items. In the case of Korea, who does most of the labeling and packaging of foods for the Korean market? Are you saddled with a lot of that?
We can, when necessary, we can sticker in order to meet Korean import requirements, but in general we prefer to put that responsibility on the importer. If you're speaking with a potential Korean importer for a product and they start asking you about the regulations in Korea, maybe they're not the best business partner to be working with. So most Korean importers, ones that have been around, they know the import requirements. And if they don't, or there's a gray area of confusion, the ag offices overseas, FAS, Foreign Commercial Service, are very, very knowledgeable. There are reports like USDA gain reports. I would highly recommend gain reports where you can educate yourself. But if you become too much of an expert, then you start taking the risk. So we like to put the risk on the importer. An importer should know all things about importing. If they don't, we could be in trouble. One thing I will say about Korea as a market in general, because we do a lot of private labels, so it's easy for us to do a Korean English packaging if necessary. There's a perception, at least there used to be, when I'd go to Korea years ago, that foreign products should have stickers on them, because then you know it's an authentic foreign product instead of a Korean knockoff with English and Korean on it. So often the little white foreign sticker that the importer would put on means it's original, and that's actually a desirable thing for Korea, somewhat unique.
Okay, great. And finally, I want to ask you what federal and state programs you've used to promote and facilitate exports to Korea, and which would you recommend? And incidentally, it's mandatory that you refer to the Exim Bank in your answer.
That'd be my pleasure. I think the question should really be, are there any state or federal programs that you haven't utilized for exports? There are some incredible programs out there, and often people don't even know that they exist or what they are. And I know now with the National Export Initiative, there's supposed to be a bigger push, but there's great state and federal programs out there. We've used everything from our local Department of Commerce Export Assistance Center, Gold Key, and what used to be called the ADS program, but it's not that anymore, I don't think, Agent Distributor Search at the time. We have been a policy holder of Exim Bank policy holder, where we can easily approve overseas accounts for open account credit with us because of Exim Bank and having a policy with them. We probably exhibit at every major international trade show that we can overseas, from FoodX to Seoul Food and Hotel Show to see all China to Anuga, Germany, see all Paris. All of those, we like to take booths within the USA pavilions, which would kind of be FAS or USDA sponsored. We're one of the top recipients of USDA market access funds in order to help market and advertise U.S. brands and products overseas the way that importers and distributors would like to show them in those markets. I highly recommend the USDA or FAS gain reports. We have worked with the state of California when there is an interest and trade offices or assistance available. But probably the most invaluable advice that I could give to people overseas would be to actually get out to those countries any way that they can in order to meet importers. Know your local export assistance center. I see Bobby Hines over there in the corner, and I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for Bobby Hines over there from the local export assistance center. Anyone who's interested in exporting should get to know him or his equivalents in the different offices. And there are incredible people overseas, both foreign commercial service and foreign agriculture service. Get to know the people in the foreign markets at the different U.S. embassies overseas. They're invaluable. They know incredible information.
Thank you very much, Seth. Mr. Lee, Senior Vice President at a company called U.S. Foods International, Inc. They're located in Gardena. Chris graduated from Sung Kyun Kwan University. How is that? Is that okay?
Right. Sounds good.
In Seoul, Korea, with a Bachelor of Arts. Chris completed Army service from 1967 to 68. At the University of Hawaii, he studied international marketing. He came to Hawaii in 1973 to open a Korean air office. Currently, he supplies foods and beverages to the U.S. military in Korea. In addition to supplying to supplying cruise lines, hotels, and supermarkets in Asian countries, including Korea, of course. So, Chris, tell us about what kinds of food products you're selling and which retail segments, or maybe you can describe for us or compartmentalize for us, what are the retail segments in Korea, the primary ones for food items, imported foods?
Okay, thank you, Greg. My name is Chris Lee. First of all, I want to thank you. Thanks goes to Department of Commerce, and let me tell you why. A couple of years ago, Terry contacted me and say a company in Taiwan is looking for good American foods. So of course we communicated several emails each other, and we didn't go that far. So I flew over there and met the people over there, and they gave me dozens of items to source and supply to them. Today we're selling about 6 items there, container loads, and it's all because of the Department of Commerce and the introduction from Terry. Thank you, Terry. When it comes to food, I'm a food soldier. The government does all the opening, they do all the treaty agreement. But I take my samples in my bag and I fly over there and I visit customers. That's what I do. So let me explain what I did so I can share with the people here so maybe they can learn and do the same. Yes, we supply to U.S. military, Army, Navy, and Air Force. I was in the Army, and I know the foods that they want, how they want it. So we have a food distribution warehouse in Korea with temperature control, everything on the HES program, and sanitation is really good. For the commercial sector, we supply to cruise ships. When Princess Cruise comes or Royal Caribbean comes to Korean ports, they need American foods. They need local Korean foods. We combine. We bring American foods from here. Sometimes we air freight. When we have enough time, we do ocean freight. We ship to Korea, to Busan and Jeju Island. We load American ships there. We just bid on this a year and a half ago. We're just still learning, but still trying. The things that we focus in Korea is something they do not have, but they like to have American foods. Really, they really like American foods made in USA products. So we brought orange chicken there. About a year ago, we went through the Korean FDA and went through a lot of paperwork, but we got USDA's processing certification. We have all the 100% ingredient list, all qualified. Now you can see California-made orange chicken in Korean supermarkets all over. We intend to ship about 50 containers per year. Second thing is, most younger generation, they came to America and they did the study here. They're looking for cheesecake. So we contacted the Calabasas Cheesecake Factory, say, why don't we take some cheesecake to Korea? They said, oh, no, I don't think it's too much money for them. So I said, no, let's try. So we took them to Korea last year. We did a food show in May, and we had so many customers came. Now you can have American cheesecake at major coffee shops in Korea and hotels. And we already shipped about 5 containers of cheesecake from California. So we did some beef over the years, pork and chicken, and we sent a lot of chickens and beef to Korea, but in 2003, November, the mad cow disease came, and it kind of stopped us. The Australians came to Korea, they did a lot of marketing and sales. They are now taking about 55% of the Korean market share. And the US is creeping up to about 36% today. We're coming back and selling the beef again. And we've been selling chicken. They like drumstick and whole leg. So we've been selling this to implant feeding companies. So one of the advice that I would like to recommend to the people here to do business in Korea is to attend the food show in Korea. They have several food shows in Korea. When you go there, you can meet right buyers, you can contact right people, and you can actually meet a lot of buyers and you can talk to them. The other thing is you have to select a right company in Korea to do business. The right partner. If you find the right partner, you're going to save a lot of time and effort and money. The right partner is the key issue. And then the number 3 is consult with the Department of Commerce. They have a U.S. embassy there. I went to see U.S. Meat Export Federation people. I got a lot of help from them. They actually led me some business, really. And utilize the local, U.S. ATO, Agricultural Trade Office in each country, but especially in Korea, they're really good. They opened the door for me. They told me to come anytime I want, so I did that. So that's what experience I have. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Just very quickly for Seth and Chris, just as a follow-up. So I gather you're both making use of partners or importers, but you're both calling on retailers directly as well in terms of how to get to the buyer.
Right. I used to depend on other side all the time, but it didn't go too far. So I packed my bags with samples. Now I go visit them directly. Because number 1, they like American products. Number 2, they trust American food quality. So they need the things that I offer them. So now they're asking me constantly, bring something new. Today I saw something on the table, which was, what kind of nut? Yes, I like to bring that to the Korean cinema movie theaters. Yeah.
Okay. Seth, do you have something to add?
I think you're asking about the channels of distribution.
Yeah, and how you're getting to your buyers.
I think I heard once the Agriculture Trade Office in Korea mention that it wasn't unusual, maybe 15 years ago for goods to change hands 5 times before it got to a consumer. Nowadays, some of the large retailers like Lotte and Emart, you can sell to directly. They even have offices here in LA. They've taken it a step further. So there are opportunities to deal with importer distributors directly, convenience store chains directly, and large retailers directly. A little bit of everything seems to go on, even probably more channels of distribution than say they were 15 years ago.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to introduce now Sean Cho. Sean is Vice President of Dow Networks. His areas of focus include customer insights and go-to-market execution, product management, and human capital realignment and information distribution and media sectors of vertical industries. Sean, we've been talking thus far with Seth and Chris about very good, very successful, and traditional norms of getting food products into the Korean marketplace. You're working on something less traditional, but is nonetheless really fast growing, which is online retailing in Korea. And you're consulting with American companies about how to get engaged in that to reach end users, end consumers in Korea directly as much as possible. Can you tell us more about the trend in online retailing in the Korean market and what you're doing for these local companies?
Thank you, Barry. So we've been engaged with the clients majorly in the high tech and the manufacturing. And fairly recently, we've been seeing a lot of the other industries coming to us and saying, hey, we need help with marketing outside of the United States. So looking at that, we've studied about the conventional ways of how we can be able to penetrate into the Korean market, and found out that there's some interesting thing about how Korean consumers are leveraging online marketplace. And I tell you why that would be the case is traditionally you have the companies that wanted to do business overseas. You would have to establish entity out there. Then you would have to hire local staff, and then on top of that, in turn you can they need to spend considerable amount of time wine and dining with the local importers, which all of these are added cost into a high price tag. So to avoid that, a lot of the younger generation, I see that the prior Chris talked about how the younger U.S. educated consumers out there wanting to buy American goods. Well, they're buying American goods over online, and they're doing it directly from the original manufacturer in the United States. So unlike in North America, obviously you see a lot of the younger generation consumers are using online as much as in Korea, but the difference is the Korean consumers formed this what is called a co-op, a group of individuals sort of putting the money together and buying at a big bulk directly from overseas producers and manufacturers. So just to give you a little figures here, according to the Korea Customs Service, there are about 3.5 million purchasing transactions in 2010, totaling around $274 billion. And this is direct buying online from the US and elsewhere. That number grew to $1 billion in just over 3 years last year. And this year, at the end of this year, it's going to be double, hovering around $2 billion. So yeah, it could be a little pocket change in the realm of the bigger spectrum of this retailing, importing, exporting, and so forth. But I think that in light of looking at the online model, if we can twist it right, if we can be able to put some intelligence into how we can be able to market to those smart consumers in Korea, I think that we can save money and be effective at marketing the products overseas. Part of the reason why, I guess, in a way that these consumers are taking online is because, you mentioned about, I think some of the folks mentioned about the wines and so forth. The import wine, for example, costs about 5 times higher when sold in Korea. Imported bottled water is about 3.5 times more, and cosmetic specific lipsticks sells for 9 times more than here. So you can see why a lot of the younger, well-educated Korean generations in their 20s and 30s wanting to buy directly, online from producers and manufacturers, from the United States or overseas. So this brings to the question that, how are we going to execute this? How are we going to take this online? How are you going to market this online? First, you would have to find obviously the right partner, but how the content has to be relevant, it has to be localized, it has to be exposed in certain way that has to be smart. Meaning to say, for example, I'll give you, I think Ron from DMV mentioned about Google. Well, Google does not work in South Korean market because there is a very predominant local search engine portal out there. And unlike using Google, where if you search for a product, the information is there, with this particular local search engine portal, it will give you blogger information. Okay, this power bloggers with the paint on the first front page, the landing page of their experiences dealing with the American, let's say, companies, for example, and buying experience. So a lot of this younger generations are looking at and reviewing this power bloggers information when making purchase decisions. So all in all, I think that I believe there are smarter ways and there are cost-effective ways for especially small businesses in the United States who can leverage effective online marketing as a tool to penetrate into the Korean market.
Thank you very much. So now I'd like to move to our friends in finance and start by introducing Winston Chu. Winston is Vice President of Sales at Euler Hermes, where he joined the company 8 years ago. Euler Hermes provides credit insurance services for clients doing business overseas, as well as domestic trade. They can help clients expand their sales safely, minimize their risks when developing new markets, secure better borrowing terms, and collect their receivables, therefore improving their cash flow. Prior to Euler, Winston has over 15 years experience in sales and marketing in the import and export business. And Winston, there's more and more competition, obviously, everywhere, but including in Korea, over price and quality for the purchase of food items. Based on the increased competition, are you seeing any trends as far as exporters extending credit terms to their buyers in order to procure their business?
Oh, definitely. Greg, thank you for the introduction. Nowadays, everybody asks for terms. I'm sure Chris knows. And LC, what's the bankers here? When bank issue the LC, it costs money. So a lot of buyers, we call them, and they start asking the importer, distributor, say, can I have a 30-day terms or 60-day terms? My job, our job, Euler Hermes, is to make sure that the people you sell to is creditworthy. It's like Ron mentioned earlier. And by the way, we have a really great relationship with DMV. We just want to make sure you get paid. You did so much for the marketing, traveling, trying to ship the goods to your buyer's hand. And then by the end of the day, if you don't get paid, it doesn't mean anything. Okay, so Euler Hermes, we're a credit insurance company. Actually, we're the largest credit insurance company. My division, Euler Hermes, we do credit insurance. My parent company is Allianz, a German company. I think they're the largest insurance company in the world right now after ING split. And Allianz do annuity, and I think I was talking to Grace. Allianz also insured Malaysia Airlines, so we got hit really bad. So, but Euler Hermes is good. We just want to make sure whoever you sell to, by the end of the day, you get paid. Okay, we have offices in 52 countries or more. We have a local underwriters doing all the underwriting all the risk for whoever you sell to. For locally in California, we have quite a few large and small policyholders from Fresno, Bakersfield. They sell rice, wine to Korea, and some other items, and we insure their receivables. The cost is not that much, but to make sure your invoices or your AR is secured. And that's the whole purpose of what the AR insurance is about. Right?
Okay, thanks. Do you mind spelling it out a little bit for those in the audience who've never used export credit insurance? In other words, who's the insured party? What am I insuring? What risk is Euler Hermes incurring by underwriting that deal or by protecting whomever they're protecting? Talk about the parties involved and how you're protecting whom.
Okay, sounds good. Basically, our customer, or I call it policyholders, are ladies and gentlemen sitting in the audience right now. They who's doing business, try to find a customer in Korea or in any other countries, try to sell the product to we call buyers, to your customer. Okay, so when you ship the goods to South Korea, whoever buy the goods from you will receive an invoice from you as well. Okay, they're the people that we're insuring for you. Okay, we underwrite the risk like I mentioned earlier. What we do a scale from a risk rating from 1 to 10. 1 being the best customer, such as a Walmart or Costco, and 10 being the customer that filed bankrupt already. Just one name, that's Circuit City. Okay, and by the way, Sears is Sears is now what? Thank you. So but anyway, so we credit risk everybody and then make sure that they're credit worthy. So when you sell to them, you feel you're secured. Okay. So when you buy a policy from us, and we charge you a premium to insure the receivables, that the invoices that you sent to them, and by again. By the end of the day, you get your money back. It happen a lot of customers that not familiar with a foreign country, even domestic buyers, and they sold goods, and the buyer never paid or they filed bankrupt. And in this case, we stepped in. Just give you a personal story. The reason that I worked for Euler Hermes for the last 8 years, because when I had my own business selling LCD monitors, I got burned by a buyer for 2 containers of LCD monitors. Okay, I got paid from Euler for $356,000. Okay, and then I really appreciate the way they did. So now I work for them. I compete them, then I join them. So it's a great way to expand your business, make sure when you sell to customers, it's safely. That's it. And thank you, Ron and Chuck there. And Dan Bradstreet is great with us. We worked with him for many, many years. You find the information, you find the customers, and then we insure them.
Thank you, Winston, very much. Move to Pelson Lau, who joined the U.S. Small Business Administration Office of International Trade in 2011 as the Regional Manager of the Export Solutions Group. He currently covers Southern California and the state of Arizona from his office at the U.S. Export Assistance Center in L.A. Prior to the SBA, he amassed over 25 years' experience in the banking industry, specializing in international trade operations, commercial lending, credit review and administration, and various government loan guarantee programs. Pelson, we heard from Winston just now about exporters extending, there you are, extending credit terms to their overseas buyers. obviously giving them an amount of time to make payment on those purchases and having it insured by Euler Hermes and possibly by other parties as well. Doesn't that put, especially if I'm a small business person, a strain on my cash flow? Wouldn't I rather just get paid right away so I can pay the electricity bill and so forth? And how do you get involved in facilitating working capital requirements of a small company that's now extending credit terms?
Thank you, great for the introduction and a very creative question about paying the utility bills. But anyway, before I answer the question, I think to put it in the context, maybe let me just briefly talk about what my office do. Basically, I'm with the Office of International Trade, U.S. Small Business Administration. I'm sure a lot of people heard about SBA, but SBA also have a special program. We have 3 export loan programs that really help the small business get financing. Yes, that's true that we have what we call export working capital program. Basically, we provide 90% loan guarantee, so that will help the bank to get finance. That will help the small business to get financing. So maybe let me, if the panelists don't mind, let me just use them as an example. Like, for example, Mr. Lee, go to Korea and get a big order, like purchase order, a couple of $1 million. Assuming that they don't have enough money to buy a product here and ship to overseas, so he got a letter of credit, or maybe that account is insured, and then they go to the bank to ask for financing. What we call this prepayment financing. He has to ship the product before he can get the money back. So in this case, maybe you go to the bank say, hey, I don't want to do the prepayment financing because there's too much risk involved. So SBA can go into that and provide what we call a 90% loan guarantee. So in fact, I think you also have this kind of booklet. Let's talk about all the program here. The second program we handle we call international trade loan. For example, Seth, doing so well. I know him for many years. Anyway, now he's doing so well. He wants to buy a building to do more export business. So what we call he did a term loan for me for 25 years to buy own outdoor building to export more. So in this case, the bank, they could go to the bank and ask for SBA loan. The bank probably will give them, for a regular SBA loan, the bank, we can provide them 75% loan guarantee. But since Seth is doing exporting and he want to buy a building to do more exporting, we can provide 90% loan guarantee. But that makes a difference, oftentimes. The reason for that, if the bank get 90% guarantee versus 75% guarantee, Seth can have more bargaining power to negotiate a better interest rate because the bank get 90% loan guarantee. So that's the second program. The third program is called Export Express. Basically, I can use Mr. Cho as example. He mentioned that oftentimes maybe you want to sell to overseas, maybe you want to create what we call an internet platform, and you need some kind of working capital to do that. And assuming that your business is doing well domestic and you need additional money to create that platform, probably the bank can put it to the Export Express program, and again, that program is, we can also provide 90% loan guarantee. So again, that's what we do in our office, and basically that's what we talk about. Any further question?
That's all you had to say. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good one.
Thank you, panelists.